Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? It's early on a Tuesday, but we're going to have some amazing conversations over the course of the next 2 days. Panelists, I'll take the end seat. That seems to be the tradition. I have to begin by saying the title of our panel, I don't know if anyone's old enough to remember Hanna-Barbera cartoons, Yogi Bear, Smarter Than Your Average Bear, getting a lot of blank stares. No, anybody remember it? All right, hey, good, okay. So anyway, that's sort of the lead in, the segue. I want to ask each of my panelists to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into some questions. So, Eleanor, why don't we begin with you? Tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure. So, hi, everyone. I'm Eleanor Crespo, co-founder and CEO of Pigment. Pigment is an enterprise performance management platform powered by AI.
Great, thank you. And Ricardo, please.
Ricardo Galliano. I work at GSK Pharmaceuticals, VP Finance. I have a long background in different finance sides of my company, and I'm now running a global AI project that looks at optimizing our investments in the commercial space.
Great. And Ian, please.
Hi, good morning.
Is your mic working? Can you maybe move it up? Yeah, is it good? Can you hear Ian? Yeah.
Oh, great.
Cool.
Well, good morning, everyone. Well, my name is Ian. Well, I'm working in JLA, Jaguar and Land Rover. So I'm leading the digital strategy practice in the executive office. I'm now currently working in the global project and also the global teams regarding to the digital transformation and AI initiatives.
Good, thank you. So let's begin. I think this audience is interested in how people are using these tools, right, in the real world to generate attributive revenue, improve efficiency, whatever. So I'd ask each of you to sort of share an example of how you're currently deploying Gen AI tools in your organization and what areas are you focused on? Eleanor, please.
Sure. So I will talk mostly about my customers and people we work with, because I think that's probably what you are mostly interested in. So with Pigment, first of all, what we tried to solve with our platform was to help any CFO out there adapt fast to change, get faster decisions, smarter decisions, and get really to an answer as fast as possible. And so with our customers and our large customers in the likes of Coca-Cola, ServiceNow, Palo Alto Network, or Unilever, what we were trying to do with them was to understand how we could incorporate Gen AI into their day-to-day to make them faster to adapt to macroeconomic changes. I'm sure you are all facing a big disruption every day. Now it's tariff, tomorrow it's something else, it's supply chain shortage, it can be anything. And we wanted to help you all get faster to an answer. So what we did first was to launch our generative AI assistant that was helping you, get fast answers to your data, democratize access to data, get a lot of collective intelligence from your company by really helping you get access to data in natural language. But actually today we announced the launch of our AI agents. And so here we are going a step further into what we do, because now we are going to proactively automate a lot of tasks for your teams to actually, again, help you get to decision faster.
Great. Ricardo, how about you? What's going on in your setting?
Yeah, so thank you. Building on that, we are putting in practice some of the things you're trying with other customers. So my use case, basically, which is a global use case, we're rolling out on 10 markets and 11 brands as we speak, so it's already a POC that is being scaled up. It's basically a combo, a tool that looks at giving the business the opportunity to analyze how to optimize the investment they're making on brands at the market level, by channel, by tactic, etc. And it has a component of, obviously, a big data platform that we're building, but also machine learning models that allow the business to understand the impact of each investment by channel, by region on the sales in terms of brand. It also has finance data to look at spend, and we'll soon have a commercial data. So the final interface to look at all of that is an AI assistant where people can ask questions to data and that they get combined insights that they can use and leverage to make faster resource allocation, cutting down time and getting insights that they normally don't get or will take a long time to get.
Yeah. So Ian, what about in your role? What's in a manufacturing setting? How are you deploying it? What's a real-world use case you can share?
Well, Jaguar and Land Rover is now operating in 5 key markets, 65 countries. So we are now undergoing a pretty significant or substantial digital transformation at the moment. Because, well, due to the local governance regulations, we do need to comply to the local rules. And that is the reason why when we are going to roll up the numbers from our markets, from our offices, it takes a long time. And we anticipate that, well, we face a lot of errors, mistakes from human and unexpected reasons, right?
Yeah.
So that's why 2 years ago, so we have initiated a transformation project with 5 business partners. So we have already invested 1.3 billion pounds in different markets.
Wow.
So that's why we would like to see what are the things that we can now get the numbers quicker, more accurate, and we can save our time from our frontline colleagues on the decision making, on the team engagement rather than the analysis.
Yeah.
So this is about the efficiency improvement stage. So this is our objective.
So the implication around being in multiple markets sort of begs the question around challenges when preparing and sharing data using Gen AI tools, right? Because there are different, regulatory issues you have to deal with. Maybe there's client confidentiality as well. So can you speak to, the challenges, how you prepare and share data when using Gen AI tools? Ellen, let's start with you again.
Sure. So first of all, I think a lot of companies, and I'm sure many of you have tried to use the foundational model yourself and trying to apply this governance model on top, and that's very hard to do. So my advice to all of our customers is always to say there are a couple of things. Gen AI will actually be embedded in the best SaaS platform out there, in the likes of Pigment. And we are going to be here to help you with governance. And I think the governance needs actually to come from technology. It's going to be hard for you to build that yourself. So you should really rely on vendors to actually help you prepare your data, because if you don't have the right data, it's always the same. It's never going to work. When you want to use our intelligent search engine, or if you want to use our best forecasting models and your data is not clean, that's never going to work. But on top of that, you absolutely need a platform that helps you understand very well how to lock your access right, how to do the right governance model, and how that interacts with your other platforms that you're using, whether it's your ERP, your CRM, or other systems.
Yeah. So in the finance sector, that's even probably more a risk-averse industry, if you will. What's your take on collecting and managing and preparing?
So, yeah, absolutely. So our use case starts from finance is a business use case. But being pharmaceuticals, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of regulation and sensitivity of data being correct. One of the big issues of Gen AI models is hallucinations. And then when you're looking at basically financial analysis, you want to have zero hallucinations. So it starts with data, and back to the question, the real value of data is when it's combined together and generates insights. And in many companies, the data platforms are not unified, data sets are sparse, are owned by different parts of the organization. Right. So I think the big piece of work we're working on is to basically unify that and having a data layer that we can look on, and that has the appropriate governance, the appropriate ownership, etc. And then in terms of data, the other important thing is you start to look at the right data set from the business perspective. This is my recommendation if you start any AI project, is don't build a hammer looking for a nail. Look for the nails first. And the nails are the business problem and business issues. And then I think that very often the tendency is, okay, I need to sort my data platform first before I do anything. My recommendation is to do the opposite. Start with business use cases, and as you're building them, you're cleaning up your data platform, you're organizing it. Because through the business question, you reverse engineer what kind of data you need, and you start to build it. And it's not perfect, and as you build it, you find issues, completeness issues, etc., and you clean them up, and you keep building. Yeah. But people see you get the traction in the business to really do the dirty job, which is, so the fuel of AI is data. So if the data is wrong, nothing works. Yeah. But in order to get the painful data job to be done, you need to show the value of it. And I think it starts from building business use cases.
So sort of follow-on question, based on the fact that, as you implied, data is in a lot of different places, right? A lot of different sources, not necessarily homogeneous, obviously. Challenges around org change issues, right? So adopting Gen AI tools and solutions present many challenges around existing processes, certainly around org change. Who owns the data? What are the main ones, and how do you prioritize them in your organization? I want to ask you.
So in terms of org changes?
Yeah.
I think so that there's different aspects. So obviously data ownership is one. I think you need to have a robust data platform that needs to be owned centrally. You need to have ownership for each different data sets.
So how do you do that? How do you put that together? So ownership, I mean, collectively.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically around your data governance. It's basically around when you build use cases, you have data owners, you have in the appropriate governance in place to make sure that the data that get put into the model is verified before. And you do that by building the model. Because the other thing is, as you're looking at insights across different data sets. So for instance, our use case is used by a trio in the market, which is finance, the business, and the commercial insights. This is the trio using it.
Yeah.
So the tool is also pushing this trio to work together to look at brand spend allocation regularly. So it already is changing ways of working. So it's not finance just giving the budget and the business is making the call. It's like them working together. And as they work together, you start to also highlight the sensitivity of some data and the opportunities of improving some data sets, and you start to allocate responsibilities.
Yeah.
And again, this is my personal approach. It starts from the bottom. It doesn't start from the top. So it's great to have an overall data governance, but what you want is really ownership for people who are really willing to use the data to make decisions. So it starts from
Great.
market level.
Eleanor, I want to ask you about, since you're providing solutions for clients, right? Sort of the bifurcation or difference between, say, Gen AI for productivity, right, as well as for insights generation. So sort of internal, external almost, if you will.
Sure.
So how do you approach that with your clients?
Okay, so these are two different words. And these are all tomorrow going to be based on agents basically doing the work for you. So if you think about AI for productivity, what we are doing, for instance, with Pigment and our customers is to automate a large numbers of manual tasks. So whether it can be, for instance, automating reports, generating data, generating summary, generating automated forecast, etc., etc. So this is really what we call automating manual tasks that are sometimes cumbersome. It can be also about cleaning data. It can be about gathering data. You were talking a lot about that. It can really be about all of these tasks, okay? So this is what we call AI for productivity. When we talk about AI for insights, this is more about helping you find things in the data that you might not know about. So here, what we are doing, and the agents we have launched actually helps you do that, is to find insights within your data and say, for instance, okay, have you detected this problem? Have you seen on your budget variance analysis that here there is something that is probably to be looked after? And really helps you do the job that an analyst would do, a financial analyst would do, really help you generate insight. What is fantastic is that we are starting to be able to have interoperability between these agents. And I think in not that long from now, we will be able to have these agents actually talking to one another and really doing the full workflow from generating insights to then automating the summaries, etc. This is what we are working on. This is our roadmap for this year, actually.
Yeah. Ricardo, what about you? What's your take on the internal versus external, sort of, the productivity versus insight generation?
So I think it's a very interesting one. Very different use cases, and I would even say that in terms of insight generation, I will distinguish in the Gen AI world between text and data, completely different word. So on text, the Gen AI is very good. You can work with approximation. On data, you have different approaches. I'm not going to get technical, but RAG and other things that allow you basically to control the hallucinations. So this is one side. But in terms of productivity, I think, and talking about agentic AI and agents that are coming, for me, in my previous life, I've been a Lean Sigma black belt. I run like transformation programs and process improvement programs. There's no lift and shift. You probably remember for people who've been involved in transformation programs and business process outsourcing, and I run one in my previous company, the mantra was many years ago, you lift and shift to your business provider, BPO provider, everything's going to be fine. So we ended up paying more money for inefficiencies that we transferred to third parties. And I think in AI and with agents, we're going to do the same if we're not careful enough. So the first thing we need to do is to look at the process end-to-end, start to understand what are the basically inefficiencies and look at optimizing it end to end. So it starts from process, good old value stream mapping, process mapping, etc. And AI is a tool to optimize it. But my advice is to start from an overview of the process, looking at efficiency and applying AI where it matters. And if the first thing will not be use AI, the first thing will be eliminate process steps if they're useless. So start with that. Clean out, standardize your process, and use AI to power it up.
Yeah, thank you. And keeping with the theme of real-world use cases, Ian, I want to turn to you and ask about you to share your take on how finance teams are using Gen AI to specifically, say, enhance personalization and improve customer satisfaction. So, and where does support for these tools typically reside? Back to the ownership question that Ricardo was bringing up.
Oh, very good one. Because, well, at JLA, what we are doing is, well, we are now trying to be more purpose-driven. We wanted to do something similar as yours. We would like to define what are the business problems first. So we are now developing a customer journey. So we understand the problems from our customer side. What are the data, what are the interacting points that we, or even our counterparts, our partners, they will have the opportunity to get in touch with our customers. So we start from the customer journey and build it back to see what are these financial solutions, insurance products, or even financing services. So we try to understand what are the things.
Right, and where Gen AI might improve the interaction, say, talking
This is
about
about
like personalization or customer satisfaction?
This is about the collaboration. Because, well, JLA, we are not a banking. We are not a bank. So we need to collaborate with our partners to adopt the Gen AI tools so that we will be able to do some of the edge computing processes so that we will be able to translate or so-called to tag our customers' interaction, and we can take the data from their behavior, and then we can sum it up, and then we can calculate back so that we will be able to turn the data into insight, from insight to action. And this is kind of the initiative that we are now transforming from the more reactive to a predictive.
And in the area of, again, personalization or customer interaction, like using that data that you collect to modify the interface or the way that customers interact with your company?
Yes.
Personalization, like they get the data that they need to see based on their objectives or their business problem or their relationship with you?
Yeah, because, well, I think to answer this question, there are two ways of directions. The first one, which is the end customer, and the next one, which is our business customers. So we need to understand what are the needs from our customer first, and then the Gen AI, which is only a way or a tool that we can deliver the effective solution to our customers. So this is, when we're talking about personalization, once again, well, this is the thing that how can we improve the services, how can we improve the efficiencies.
Okay, thank you. Eleanor, I saw you were on Bloomberg this morning, a topic that's top of mind for many people in this space is agentic AI, right? So you were discussing that. I wonder if you could share, how innovations like agentic AI might empower workforces to take on what we can already do and move it one step forward.
Sure.
How did that interview go?
It was great.
Were you comfortable?
Yeah. No, it's a great.
Is it on YouTube? Did they record it?
I'm sure it will be on YouTube.
So check it out. Put it on your
It's a great
list.
day.
Yeah.
Good celebration today, announcing our first agents to the world. You can get demos, by the way, I think, over there. So if you're interested.
Cool.
So I would say, the first thing that we were able to do with Gen AI, I think, as Ricardo described, is what I would call assistant. So the idea of assistant was to help analysts find data, understand the data, etc. But you still need to do a prompt when you use an assistant. You still need to ask, when you use OpenAI, you need to ask something and you get the prompt. The difference now with agents is that they can run autonomously. They can do the work for you without even you having to do a prompt. You can schedule agents and so literally you can go to bed at night, wake up in the morning, you log in and some work has been done for you. That's what's happening now, and that's what the new world will be about.
Yeah.
So that's really game-changing for any organization out there, because it will really help you do things faster and do things that perhaps you were not even able to do. Giving you a simple example, imagine you want to run 100 different scenarios to actually simulate what's going to happen in the future because of tariff or something else. Well, if you ask an analyst to do that, or a team of analysts, that might take them a few weeks to analyze that. Now you can do that overnight.
Yeah.
And I was actually with Sam Altman. We had the AI Summit in Paris. I'm French, as you probably hear from my accent. And we were discussing about the future of agents and what's happening. And so just to give you a timeline, the automated software engineer is less than 12 months from now, okay? So you can imagine that this is going to be something we will replicate in the world of finance. And so that means that the value that you are going to get from these agents is even bigger than your biggest imagination. And so where we start, for instance, to give you an example with Pigment, is that we launched what we call the finance analyst agent. So that's what we announced today. But this year only, we'll be able to launch 2 other agents, the modeler agent and the planner agent. The modeler agent is similar to the software engineer, and I see a question that made me smile, which is about, can we use Gen AI to cure your data in your data lake? Yes, that's, for instance, what the modeler agent will be about. It's about cleaning your data and modeling faster. So you use software engineers to actually code some models. Our modeler agent will be here to code your financial models for you. And then the planner agent goes a step further, because now it's about automating scenarios and helping you think about the future, the trajectory of your company. So I think, obviously, this is like at our fingertips. This is revolutionary. And the innovation of obviously players like OpenAI are going to completely change the way we all work. And I found that pretty exciting.
No, fantastic. I look forward to watching the Bloomberg interview. Ricardo, what about you? So agentic AI at a meta level, where do you see it going? How are you using it?
So a couple of things. First of all, it will be used to optimize processes if you really look at end-to-end processes.
Right.
We're already using agents in our AI assistant. So another hidden use of agents is to create workflow within assistants. So our tool basically generates queries based on prompt, but assess and analyzes the appropriateness of the query, pulls the data, etc. This is all under the hood. So there's already agents in there. And this is done internally. We developed it internally. So there will be agents in the background optimizing some of the back-end processes that we have in finance, and they will be very valuable. Again, so I don't want to ruin Eleanor's speech, but when when things hit the ground and you need to implement it in a large organization, I would say agentic AI will have some areas that we need to look at that can be problematic if they're not implemented the right way. So liability, the moment you start to have agents autonomously making decisions for you, who's responsible for it? I mean, if it's external-facing decision is one thing, but even internal-facing. So you have I'm running my business plan through an agent. Okay, numbers are wrong. Who's responsible for that? It's not me. Is it tech? Is it a data engineer? Is it etc.? So it will require.
Take on that? I'm going to press. So
absolutely. It will require at the organizational level a change, which needs to come, and it will be great. And the other one is hidden costs. So you will know that every API call you make to a large language model is a cost. It's called inference cost. Okay, if you build a multi-agent system, you have multiple inference costs every time you run an agent. Okay, so organizations need to be mindful about these hidden costs. And hidden costs of Gen AI in general is more and more people using, because you pay for each one of them. So the return on investment is to be calculated in terms of, okay, the AI is not free. So they just be very, very clear. It's
duly noted.
Yeah, it's not free. You have storage cost, you have training cost, you have inference cost, you have maintenance cost, you need to have team that keep working on the model. But it can leverage productivity in a massive way, and I agree with Eleanor, it's going to change the way we're going to operate and work. The thing from somebody who works in a large organization is, in terms of internal ways of working, we need to start to change and adapt to that to make it work. Otherwise, we will deploy AI tech. I'm not just talking about agents in general. AI technology, like dropping it on a process, it will be fancy. People will use it for a couple of weeks and then we'll drop it. So there's a big piece of work in terms of data governance, but also selling it internally. So people need to really be buying it. It needs to be explained embedded in the existing ways of working and workflows, which is a challenge. So that's part of the...
So Ian, agentic AI, what's your take on Jaguar Land Rover? How might you apply it in your organization?
According to one of our internal studies, well, our operation, there are, well, in our financial operations, there are 62% of the task which is repeating. So that is the area that we would like to focus on and we would like to emphasize. So we are now using the AI agent model.
Like Eleanor's do it overnight while you're
exactly.
while you're sleeping.
So we are now trying to make use of the better technology to simplify the process. So we are now able to do something more on the FP&A faster and easier. So we are now able to do something like a short-term forecasting with around 90% of accuracy in 5 minutes. But before, when we are being asked for the similar questions, we may need 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, wow, so yeah.
We may need a big team fully dedicated to answer the questions. Yes, API, there's a cost. AI, there's a cost. But this is a good topic that we can always try to balance and see, hey, in terms of manpower cost and time, when comparing with the technology, AI, Gen AI, so which one is more effective? Because, well, something that is quick and easy, what is the reason why we are waiting for, right? So there's always a kind of the decision-making process that we need to balance the time and cost from that too.
Yeah. So we're coming close to the end. We have some questions on Slido, but I want to ask each of you to share sort of words of wisdom. This is how I typically close these kinds of panel discussions, right? Words of wisdom on how members of the audience might successfully implement Gen AI within their organization. Maybe, proverbial low-hanging fruit, or where would they start? Where would they get involved? Proof of concept, a skunk works? What's the way to get in, get involved, get started,
Yeah, and actually I wanted also to say that I agree with what Ricardo said around what is needed for Gen AI, and maybe to start there, I would like to say that every job at your organization is going to change in the finance team. But these people, like if you have an analyst, their job is going to change in a great way for them. Because now, actually, they can exercise criticism on the data. So, even if there are mistakes, I don't think it's a problem. Actually, they were doing mistakes themselves. Okay? Now they actually have time to check on their mistakes, understand if what they do, what the agent has done, for instance, is right or wrong, and also do a lot of business partnering with teams around the business to understand if the results make sense, are correct, and are going to bring the company in the right direction. So I think it's actually better because it's really making your job more human, because now you're going to spend time actually thinking about the trajectory of business, thinking more strategically. So that's one thing. But in order to do that, it means you need to train your teams. And change management is key there, because you need to train your teams to change their job very fast, to understand what the job of tomorrow will be, and to understand what it takes to actually do a good prompt if you're using an assistant, use the agent properly, understand that governance is now key, that security is at the midst of that. How do you understand ethics as well? Because you need to think ethically about these problems, okay? You don't want to replace every job on the planet with agents. So how is your job transformed tomorrow? I would say change management for me is key there. The second thing is around data preparation. We spoke about that, the fact that you need the data together, but also obviously thinking carefully about your cybersecurity provider, everything that will create the right security around your model. On the ROI, I tend to disagree with you, because I would say that when you think about the first computer, it was probably 20 million pounds. Okay, now we have iPhones in our pockets. Okay, the reality is that the cost of generative AI has already decreased by more than 1,000x in a year. And that will keep happening. So I would say I would still think about investing now, investing early, because you can be more competitive. And trust me, the price will keep decreasing there. Not on everything. We know storage is expensive, etc. That's the case already, but you're already paying fortunes on your data lakes. So that's, at least you can make that more efficient. Okay. So I would say, I would advise you all to start investing. Start with small use cases if you're afraid of going too big. That's totally fine. You said business apps. You can start small, but I would really encourage everyone to start thinking about that now if you want to remain very competitive. Great
advice. Ricardo, what about you? Your 2 cents. Where to begin?
My 2 cents are coming from my current experience where I'm running this program, I'm doing like 9 jobs at the same time. So for people who want to do something similar, I think there's 3 forgotten areas which are probably key for success in a project like that. And it's around managing 3 types of tensions. One tension is between tech and the business. So the most important job that you can do is to be the business translator. So understand the business problem very well and speak the language of tech very well. So understand how software engineering is done, understand how they process things, understand how they work, because then you can sort out a lot of issues there. The second one is a tension between agile and waterfall. And this might sound a little bit complex, but when you're developing a tech product like a Gen AI agent, et cetera, you're working in sprints. So every couple of weeks, you're like reviewing, improving, et cetera, et cetera. When you're deploying it, you're working in waterfall, so standard project management, so market by market. These 2 ways of working are very different, and they can clash, okay? And by working through optimizing these 2 ways of working, you're also sorting out a lot of issues. And the final piece is being able to trade off between innovation and scale, okay? When you develop, again, AI is a continuous improvement like kind of exercise, but a POC is great, is fantastic. I wouldn't say it's easy to make, but the challenging part is to scale it up. And scaling is a complete different world. It goes into, compliance, infrastructure, access control, cybersecurity, et cetera, which are things that are normally forgotten. And basically managing these 2 things together, I think, is another key for success.
Great. Ian, last word. Take a minute and share, how do you get started? Where to begin? What's the way in? Generate value and get funding, get support, get executives to sign up.
Well, there are so many good points that has been already shared. From us as well, 2025 is a year of do. It's a time for us to determine what are the things that we should execute now. It's about execution. It's not a time for us to ask the question, hey, would it be blah, blah, blah? No, this is about how can we deliver it. So I think from us, well, if you're not there yet, try to think about what are the things that you can plan and start first. Action is the key. Execution is the only way that can help you to make some reasonable and meaningful mistakes, and you can learn from your mistake to make yourself better for tomorrow.
Great. So we've come to the end, and there's some great questions in Slido. I apologize, but I wanted to pick the large brains of these brilliant panelists. So let's give them a hand. All right. And I would encourage you to connect with them all on LinkedIn, follow their companies, right? LinkedIn is where there's a community and conversations are going on around this topic. So take advantage of that tool and collar them in the networking area as well and pose your questions there. So thank you very much. All right, here we go.